Everyday Superpower, where we talk body language, relationships, game, everything in between. We've been talking about foundational stuff over the last series of videos. You know, looking a little deeper into the general realities of how you attract women, how you pass their tests, which we're going to talk about today, and how you engage fluidly, confidently, and in understanding of what she wants from you and how you can give it to her without selling yourself out, without being somebody you're not. And having fun with it, most importantly, not having these canned responses, not having this pickup artist, insecure, gay shit going on where you have to pedestalize the woman and do night game and go and speak to women and get 50 numbers in a night and all that. No. Right? I'm going to talk to you about shit tests. I'm going to talk to you about how a woman will test you and the reality of such. Some say a woman will test you more if she likes you because she's showing care and attention and really wants to identify who you are and where you stand. Whereas me personally, I could sway on the fact that she'll test you less. Some women will test you less because she'll feel so comfortable and calm and understanding and perceptive of your value that she needn't go out of her way to do so, right? The ladies who have tested me the most have been the ones who have been, in a way, out of my league, right? They've been a little more hands-on, a little bit more aggressive in their approach. And this was when I was younger, right? Older women I'm speaking of, in particular. When I've dated older women, more experienced women, and I've been a little bit younger, it's been a necessity for them to really sort of put their foot on the gas with the testing, just to ensure they're not, foolishly hanging around with someone who is immature. Understandable. So, what is the test? The test is a biological principle in the woman's nature. She needs to throw a few curveballs out there. She needs to, and this is like a red pill rage sort of thing, and I can understand why initially, but it's part of the fun. When you start to identify it, it's really kind of fun, because you have to understand, when you pass the test, when you react positively and you maneuver yourself appropriately when being given these situations, it actually elevates your value in the eye of the woman. So it's important to understand. It's not to be looked down upon. It's not like this woman is like probing you in order to piss you off, because most of the time she doesn't know she's doing it. And I'm going to do a video on this. It's easy for a red pill creator or someone, some popular dating YouTuber person or wherever, whichever platform, to tell you everything you want to hear. Tell you how bad women are, tell you how, call them all these sort of names and stuff. And I was watching someone only a couple of days ago. I put him on in the background. And we're not gonna flirt around this too long, but I just want to say, as a passing comment, someone who he's been doing videos now for years on YouTube, and I appreciated him initially. I thought he gave good game, and now when I put a video on with him on, he's like just talking about dumb things women do to test you. Well, this bitch the other day, and it's like this fucking bravado, this alpha male stuff, if you know where I'm coming from. And it's like, bro, shut the fuck up, man. Guy's got a stylist and all of that now, you know what I mean? And I see it, and it's like, it appeals to the bums who can't get women, because they're like, oh my god, he hates women too. Oh my god, he's annoyed by women too. And it's just like, as a man, why are you getting annoyed at women first and foremost? Why are you being emotionally provoked by what you perceive as the fairer sex, the weaker sex? Why are you even getting involved within that space? That's something you need to learn to get out of. And by doing so, you need to stop engaging and absorbing the information from these men who tell you how bad women are, because that's a bit gay, right? So I just put him on, and I was just like, what the fuck? You need to learn how to love women and understand who they are. And so I say that to say this. when we're talking about the red pill and we talk about red pill rage, it's when somebody starts to take, notice of the biological reality, the actual dance between the masculine and the feminine in relationships, in the transactional communications, in the way that there is an actual mechanic to how we engage. It's not just by chance. It's not what everybody's told you growing up. It's not just by chance. Oh, you'll just find the one. Don't worry about it. No, blah, 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 blah. It's not like that. And so people who have been living in a fairy tale reality, who have been living in this feminine dream forever, get a little bit annoyed. What do you mean she's going to test me? Why'd she do that? Why can't people just like me, man? Why can't people just like me, man? Why can't she just enjoy me for who she is? Well, that's exactly the point. She wants to like you for who you are. And if she's sort of pushing at your buttons and you're reacting in an emotional manner, if you are reacting, and I'm going to go into the tests, don't worry. If you are reacting insecure when she references someone else, if you are, triggered and overtly responsive when she brings up your height, maybe especially in relation to somebody who's taller than you, or so forth, the fact that you're reacting in a negative manner, you're exposing your weakness and how weak of a man you are, how frail you are, right? Why is she going to like you for who you are? That's your problem. It's on you. Take ownership, take responsibility, right? She's not just going to look at your shortfalls and think, you know what, he's brilliant, amazing because of them. No, but she's going to look at, something somebody could perceive as a shortfall, bring it up, accentuate that, see how you react. Notice that it doesn't mean anything to you. And she's going to be like, whoa, now it's something I am attracted to. Now I do like him for him. So these women will test you because she unconsciously wants to know if you'll be a good partner. Biologically, she wants to know if you're a potential threat. Biologically, she needs to know if you'd be a good father, right? First and foremost, she needs to survive with you. So if you react emotionally, if you're triggered in an aggressive manner, in an insecure manner and so forth, it's going to send a red flag off in her head because she's dealt with 20,000 million men before you through her unconscious recognition of patterns in the people around her, because she needs that as a woman. She needs to know which man is dangerous and which not in order to survive, because she could get, put in the back of a van and fucking thrown off a bridge. You know what I mean? So if she identifies any attributes with you that can relate to somebody who is not safe, of course you're going to blow her back, right? So you'll be on a date. And don't get me wrong, for the most part, she's not aware that she's doing this. But what she is aware of is that she's more attracted to you with that response. And she just doesn't know why. Or she's a little bit repulsed by you. And it may come to the conscious mind why she's repulsed. But it might not. She's just, at the end of the date, she has to think, he's just not for me. So like I said, it's a pushing of your boundaries to see where your boundaries are. Yeah? And problem or not, she will continue to do so until the end of your life, if not relationship, given that you do get into a relationship. Because she always needs to know where you are, and this is how she does so. And when you say women are horrible, men do the same thing in order to identify where you stand in the pecking order. Men are notorious, especially fickle, insecure men who don't know where they stand and need to know where they stand because it's so important to them to identify the hierarchy of things. They will passive-aggressively poke at you, prod at you to see if you react, how you react, and so forth, right? And we'll do another video on that because I know how you deal with that, and this is how you deal with bullies, right? So there is a crossover between dealing with bullies and dealing how this woman tests you on a date. And I know that sounds terrible, but this is the reality of it, and you should learn to love this game, right? Because when you clue yourself up and identify this, you'll put yourself above the majority of men, hands down. Definite. So you're on a date, and I'll tell you some of the ones I've got. I was younger. I was on a date with 23, 24-year-old. I must have been 18 at that. She was so much more mature, but she had just come out of a relationship. Maybe she was a little younger, arguably 22, 23, because it does seem quite steep. But she had just come out of a relationship with a more mature man, right? They had a place of their own. I didn't. I was living at home. And she just wanted to have sex, basically. But her unconscious still wants to identify if you would be a good partner or not. Anyway, as we know, when it comes to an older woman and a younger man, especially to that degree where that man is barely a man at that point, is generally not going to work out well. I slept with her twice, right? So it worked out fine. And I say that to say this. She tested me ever so much on this date. And I wasn't too aware during this due to my age. But in hindsight, it was clear as day. So first and foremost, she randomly brings up, I didn't need to introduce this, but she brought up in a passive joke, it wasn't a joke, about how I was still living at home with my parents. Just before I went off and got drinks. As I left the table, I just said, yeah. And then as I came back, I just said, you just mentioned that was the problem with that. Simple. But if I was to react in a manner which was uncertain, and if I had lied to her and said, no, I don't, which a lot of men would do, just lie to her, bro. If I was to have just lied to her, she would have seen that through my nonverbal communication. She would have seen that because she was an older woman. And women mature faster than men. There's still a young girl that resides inside of her. And once the men get older and older, they age like wine in relation to the milk of the woman. But in this particular age bracket, which I'm not going to go into, there's particular brackets of ages where people, progress at a particular manner and engage in a particular manner. And for the woman, it tends to rely on where she is hormonally. Does she want to have kids at this point? Does she just want to mess around at this point? Is she fearful at this point of things potentially drying up? Is she menopausal? Is she blah, 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 blah? Like, she goes through all these twists and turns, whereas the man doesn't necessarily do that to the same extent. And how we value things are differently. Her body's changing over these years, whereas our resources and our status and things she finds valuable in us will be changing, in this ever swinging metaphorical seesaw. So she asks me about the parent figure, blah 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 blah. We're walking back to hers on that night, if not the second night, and we're drinking a bottle of wine on the way back, and we finish it, and she's a bit of a punk rock, a bit of a rebel, clearly by her choice of being with me. You know what I mean? And she kind of hints at me to throw the bottle in the middle of the road. Right? In order to appease her. And I didn't do it. It was inappropriate. When you're a young lad and that, there's nothing wrong with having a bit of fun and being a bit antisocial and stuff. But I didn't do it. And the actual action and emphasis and symbolic power of throwing a glass bottle, a big wine bottle, in the middle of a road in the middle of the night where it's just empty and quiet, and the shattering of such, that would have been a catastrophic display of my pedestalization of this woman. To show by demand I've gone and committed this antisocial act. This borderline illegal act I have committed just through being nudged by this woman. And that's how desperate I'm trying to appease her and make her like me. That comes from my own insecurity, and that was the pushing of my boundary to see what she could or couldn't make me do. And even though you might think, well, if a woman can control you and tell you to do anything, she's going to be into that. No, she's not going to look at you like a man, because you are not acting and reacting like a man. A man has got boundaries. A man has got particular principles that will stop her from going too far. If you can make me do that, what can you make me do? Watch you fuck another man. Do you know what I mean? And me just being like, are you just going to be able to go and cheat on me? and come back to me and tell me you've cheated on me and me be okay with it, because I seem to be getting walked all over you in every other regard in order to impress you because I value you so much. It's backwards. She needs to be valuing you. So that's another thing. Where else do we go? Definitely the bringing up. Now, this isn't in relation to these two, but generally speaking, across the board, it's going to happen in any relationship, and you need to understand this. But it serves a purpose more than it just being a joke. She's going to bring up other men, whether they be on the television, celebrities, musicians she likes and stuff, or actual people she's been with or is around. She's going to reference on them being good looking, referencing on them being tall, on being handsome. Oh, I heard he's got a big schlong. She's going to mention these things, and she's going to pay attention to how you react to that. And if you react in an insecure way, in a threatened way, in a emotional manner, she knows, got him. And she's going to be turned off by that, but she's going to think, got him. Right? So indirectly, not only have you made yourself a little bit repulsive in the eyes of her, but you've actually minimalized how she values you in relation to the person she was actually referencing. I was in a relationship, and then I got out of a relationship, and then she used me as a way to annoy her boyfriend at that time, to the degree where we weren't ever in communication, but he messages me out of the blue saying some violent stuff. One moment. So, think about that. She's pushed his buttons and put him into his emotions, and, you know, even though we both have a rational side to us, we both have a emotional side to us, whether we be man or woman. It's more so within the realm of the woman to be emotionally driven and to be misguided under, or, you know, through our perception of the world and the reality through the lens of emotion. It gives us the incorrect information, right? We need to one moment. Yo, what's good? Sorry, I just had to restart some stuff there. There might have been a little bit of lag visually. Hopefully not audio at the end of there, but let me not digress. I was talking about getting out of a relationship with someone, and then her ex-partner got in touch with me, making violent remarks, right? Trying to threaten me, or in the face of the law, threatening me via word, which if you yourself are a violent individual, I wouldn't recommend typing what you're going to do on the internet or in any word whatsoever, in all honesty. It's a little bit theatrical, and I think it's a good showcase that you're not really about it or have been in trouble purely as why would you put it in words. So I received this message because they've had an argument, and she's brought up to him, me, in order to wind him up, and he's failed the task. And this is how it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, how some of these things work. So he's acted the big man, acted emotionally, blinded by his emotions, the most volatile emotion, anger. He has gotten in touch with me as to where I've received this message. I've not responded to him, but I have gotten in touch with her to say, what's going on here? She has used him and his emotions and this test as a cat's paw to bring me back to her, right? And she says to me, oh, no, I've told him this, that, and that. I told him not to blah, 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 blah. So now, I am now engaging with my ex again, which I couldn't really be asked doing, because she has manifested me through this emotional man. He has been locked out of this conversation, and he's in his emotions getting angry, pedestalizing both of us in this situation due to the way he acted, due to the way he failed the test, right? Whereas if he wasn't fazed, if he was genuinely secure, or if he felt whatever he felt but did not express it because he understood and he was stoic and understanding of oneself and thought, I feel this sort of way, it's a bit crap, but at least I can look at the world as my mirror and question myself why I feel this way in reference to her ex or so forth. Then we can build, then we can understand, then we can become a better man. And the lack of reaction to something she put out there for a reaction shows strength in your character, shows that you're not willing to take the bait, shows that you are in the dominant masculine position. Real game. Real game. Real game. I mean, if you allow her to continue pushing these boundaries, she'll push the boundary to the degree where she's cheated on you, and then she'll continue pushing boundaries and continue running these tests on you. Well, I cheated on him, and I'm going to tell him I'll never do it again. And he's continued to keep me, because that was the test in itself. Is he going to keep me, or is he going to get rid of me? I've literally I've jumped on another guy's dick, right? And what's he going to do? Oh, he's fallen for it. He is okay with me cheating because I've just cheated on him and he's not cut the relationship off. I basically can do anything. What can't I do? And then that woman goes and does it again. And then we all act surprised. Come on. Let's talk more. Let's talk more, because this is important, and whilst we're riffing on this, we might as well riff on it. Her understanding of your boundaries is paramount because she doesn't want to put herself in harm's way. The idea of you acting in an aggressive manner in response to her bringing a boyfriend up on the first date or so forth is a problem. It's a problem. She might be attracted to that, you know. Psychologically speaking, she might like aggressive men. She might be entertained in volatile men. As I've said, I'm not an aggro person. I've never laid hands on a woman before. But from my background, a little bit of rough and tumble, the idea of conflict, I'm not alien to that, right? So she will have been in attraction to me to the same way as the next person, because there's a aggressive undertone. Now, I'm fortunate in the realms that I never acted out to a degree where I got into any trouble and I was able to mature. Some people don't, right? Some people make mistakes when they're younger, and that's just the way it is, you know? When you get brought up in a particular environment as to where you're around, you know, a little bit of darkness, then it's easy for that child to absorb that and take that as is, you know? So you have to assess a person, understand the person, and know that there's certain particular principles and reactions and tests that you do need to respond to in a particular way. I had one. I mean, we're not going to go into the politic of it, but I was on a date. I mean, all these are first-time shags, man. Honestly, go on a date with someone, you go home and you sleep with them. That's it. Like, if you want to hear somebody talk about that sort of stuff, speak to me about that. That's the way it goes. If it works any other way, I'd be surprised, right? So I meet this woman up after work. She's a respectable woman, and we speak, and it gets a little bit political. And of course, she says it goes into like trans rights and stuff, and if you feel this sort of way, we won't. If we're not going to be friends, this thing ends here, right? She speaks on her bold opinion in this particular matter. That wasn't in response to us arguing or being in a heated discussion. It was just she brought it up as a stern statement. If you don't agree with this, then you're not getting the punani. We're going to have to break it up. I'll never see you again. That was the test. Am I going to be able to manipulate him into agreeing with me politically, right? Or is he going to get emotional at the idea of him not being able to get his end away tonight? You know, I'm not a slut, by the way. If you disagree respectfully, then you can continue respectfully disagreeing. That's not a problem, because you're not going to engage and push back in an emotional manner as to where the emotions escalate. Yes? So, yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think people can do blah, 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 but as far as my children are concerned, I would blah, 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 blah. I think it's this and that. No problem. We moved onwards. We saw eye to eye. Gave me the box. Life is good. So, understand the tests, and you have to think deeper, because like I said, it wasn't a merely yes or no thing. It isn't how it's presented. It's not that she's come forth and says, yes, you agree with me, or no, you don't. And if the answer's no, you're fucked. No. She's playing a law of power there. She's playing the left wing and the right wing. She's playing the Democrat and the Republicans. She's playing the Western world and the Eastern world. She is playing this duality of option, but she is the puppeteer and she masters both sides. You don't have to pick either the options. You can continue with the no, I disagree, but I'm not going to disagree with you to a depth where we're going to fall out over it. We can still see eye to eye, because why the hell not? And if you are going to fall out with me over where we differ, expecting me to be the same as you, and you're not going to give it to me because of that, then I don't want it anyway. That's your one bargaining chip, and I don't need it. So, joke's on you. Do you see where we're coming from? You need to understand the masculine principle, what you can do and can't do without. Apply it well, play with it, have understanding of self, and have such understanding of self that nobody can ever take you off of your center. Real talk. Click like and subscribe. Peace.